Okay. I am recording a deck profile for Lunalight, as it's been a while since I made the last one, and I played it recently at my locals where I went 2-2, where I lost to Radiant Typhoon because I didn't read the Gorgon Link 3 and I summoned Goldio to its zone from deck. So I lost that one. Then I won against Red Dragon Archfiend. Then I had lost against Ice Barrier. And then I won against Dark World. But for the monsters, I played 2 copies. Try to make sure they're centered. Of Lunalight Black Sheep. Lunalight Black Sheep, luckily, is not once per turn. But it has the effect that you can discard to the graveyard to either add a Lunalight monster from your graveyard to your hand except for another Black Sheep, or you can add a Polymerization from your deck to your hand. Normally you're using the latter. And then if Black Sheep is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, that's how it works. Yep. Then you can add to your hand a face-up Lunalight Pendulum monster from your extra deck, or you can add a Lunalight monster from your graveyard, except for another copy of Black Sheep. Next, I play 1 copy of Lunalight Tiger. Tiger is a once per turn, just monster reborn for a Lunalight monster. However, the monster you summon has effects negated and it is destroyed during the end phase. Next, I play 2 copies of Lunalight Silverhound. Silverhound has the effect that if it's sent to the graveyard, then you can special summon a Lunalight monster from your deck. But as long as you control that monster, then you are locked into Lunalight monsters. And then Hound also has the graveyard effect of when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can banish it and a Lunalight fusion monster from your graveyard to be able to negate that spell or trap's effects till the end of the turn. Or you negate its effects on field. Next, I play 3 copies of Lunalight Gold Leo. Gold Leo has the effect that when summoned, you can add a Lunalight monster from your deck to your hand, but then you discard a card. And then, if a Lunalight monster is sent to your graveyard by a card effect from your hand, or I think it has to be hand. Now, if a Lunalight monster or monsters is sent to the graveyard while card is in your monster zone, even during the damage step, you can target one of them and add to your hand. You can only use each effect of Gold Leo once per turn. So usually what I'll do with Leo, if I don't need to actually search a thing, is I'll add the 1 Yellow Marten, and then discard the Yellow Marten, which will trigger Yellow Marten's effect, where when Yellow Marten is sent to the graveyard by card effect, then you can add a Lunalight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And then Yellow Marten can also target a Lunalight card on your field that's face up, return it to the hand, and then summon itself from your hand or graveyard, but it is banished when it leaves the field. You will use each effect of Yellow Marten once per turn. Then I play 1 copy of Lunalight Emerald Bird. Emerald Bird has the effect that when summoned, you can send a Lunalight card from your hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card. Usually it could be Yellow Marten. But Emerald Bird also has the effect that if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target level 4 lower Lunalight monster that's banished or your graveyard, except for another Emerald Bird, and special summon it. However, the summon monster has its effects negated. Next, I play 2 copies of Lunalight Kaleidochick. Kaleidochick has the soft once per turn, so if you get rid of it and bring it back, you can do it again. If you can send a Lunalight monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard for cost, to then be able to copy that monster's name if you use it as fusion material. And then the hard once per turn effect of Kaleidochick is that when Kaleidochick is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, then you can add a Polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. And you can only use that effect once per turn. Then next I play 2 copies of Tri-Brigade Fractal. This card's only effect in this deck is you can discard it to then be able to send a Silverhound from your deck to the graveyard. If instead of playing super poly targets in this deck, I could technically, you could play some Tri-Brigade Link monsters, but I decided to go with Super Poly because I thought it'd be better. So, if you're playing Tri-Brigade Link monsters, then Fractal's other effect can be used. But in this current version of the deck, that effect cannot be used. Okay, is that a hair? Okay, the hair's in. Then lastly, for the Lunalight monsters, I play one copy of Lunalight Wolf. Lunalight Wolf's only purpose in this deck is its Pendulum effect, being a once per turn banished from your field or graveyard to fusion summon a Lunalight fusion monster. For the hand traps, I play 3 copies of Molcharmy Perulia and 3 copies of Molcharmy Fuwalos. Perulia and Fuwalos both have the same activation requirement of you can only use their effects if you control no cards. Where Perulia will make it so that every time your opponent normal or special summons from hand, you get to draw a card. Whereas Fuwalos does the same thing, but only when your opponent summons from deck or extra deck. And then they both have the same end phase effect of if you have more cards in your hand than your opponent controls, plus 6, then you randomly shuffle the difference back into the deck. So if your hand has 17 cards in it and your opponent only has 5 cards on field, you'll have to randomly shuffle 6 cards back into the deck. However, one thing I will say though is that I probably will replace these with 3 copies of Ash Blossom Joyous Spring and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Just because their hand traps actually do something, even if you open them. Whereas if you open Fuwalos or Perulia and you're going first, it doesn't do much. Which I'm mainly saying that because at my locals, I ended up opening 3 Molcharmies, going first 3 or 4 times. But moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Lunalight Fusion. Lunalight Fusion lets you fusion summon a Lunalight monster from your extra deck by using monsters from your hand or field's material. And then if your opponent controls a monster that is special summoned from the extra deck, then you can also use a Lunalight monster from your extra deck as material as well. Next, I play 1 copy of Foolish Burial that just lets you send a monster from your deck to the graveyard, which ordinarily would be Yellow Marten, Silver Hound, or Emerald Bird. 1 copy of Polymerization, just because Black Sheep can add to your hand, and Black Sheep is very searchable. Then I play 1 copy of Fire Formation Tenki. When this card's activated, it lets you add a Beast Warrior from your deck to your hand that is level 4 or lower. Then while it's on the field, all your Beast Warriors gain 100 attack. That last part I feel like doesn't actually matter, but the main thing is you activate it and you get a search. Next, I play 1 copy of Called by the Grave. This is just to be able to ban it or negate hand traps such as Ash Blossom, Molcharmy Perulia, Molcharmy Fuwalos, any hand trap your opponent could use. Next, I play 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, just because I still don't like spells or traps, because I like having the 1, because then I can at least have access to it should I be forced to go second, or I can use it when I go to start attacking if I'm going first. Then I play 2 copies of Lunalight Perfume. Lunalight Perfume lets you target a Lunalight monster that's in your graveyard, special summon it, and then you can banish Perfume from your graveyard and then discard a card to add a Lunalight monster from your deck to your hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. I'm more likely going to take this out for 3 more hand traps. This and 1 other card I'll probably replace with 2 Droll Lockbird and like 2 Ghost Mourner or 2 Ghost Bell or 2 Ghost Ogre. The Foolish Burial Goods just lets you send a spell trap from your deck to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 goods per turn. The card you would ordinarily send off Foolish Burial Goods is 1 copy of Lunalight Serenade Dance. During the turn in which you did not send this to the graveyard, you can banish it, discard a card, and then special summon a Lunalight monster from your deck. But you can also use Foolish Burial Goods to send Lunalight Perfume, be able to discard a card, and then add a Lunalight monster. Because what I ended up doing in one of my matches against Dark World, my opening hand was Heavy Polymerization, which I'll get to that later, 3 Foolish Burial Goods, and the 1 Serenade Dance. So what I ended up doing was Foolish Burial Goods, sending Perfume. Then I used Perfume, discarding the Serenade Dance, to be able to grab a Gold Leo. I normal summoned Gold Leo, baited out the Fusion Graphas effect, and then I used Heavy Polymerization to summon Liker Dancer, but at the same time I had to lose 7,900 life points. But it's fine because I then proceeded to OTK. But like I said, these are probably going to come out for 4 more hand traps, so the deck will have a total of 10. Next, I play 3 copies of Lunalight Masquerade. Lunalight Masquerade has the effect that during the turn it was activated, you can send 1 Lunalight monster from your deck to the graveyard. And then if you fusion summon a Lunalight fusion monster, then you can activate this card's effect, return a polymerization from your graveyard to your hand, and then you can discard a card so that if you activate if you fusion summon a Lunalight fusion monster, you don't have to use polymerization for this effect. Then you can banish from your graveyard as well. You can banish from your graveyard as fusion materials for its summoning as well. But I don't remember how to do it, but I do know there is a way in this deck to have an end board of SP Lunalight, Baguska, and 2 Liger Dancer. And then pretty much the only thing you lose to there is a Sphere mode. Next, I play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. This card lets you discard a card to then be able to fusion summon using monsters from either side of the field. And then neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. What I will say is if you don't want to play Super Poly targets or Super Polymerization, then you can probably replace this with 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet instead. Then lastly, I play 3 copies of Heavy Polymerization. This lets you fusion summon a fusion monster that requires 3 or more materials. And then you can also use monsters from your extra deck equal to the number of monsters your opponent controls. So this card is mainly in here for going second. Honestly, one thing I might do is instead of playing more hand traps, play cards just as board breakers, like 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Raigeki, 3 Dark Hole, just things to be board breakers. I might try that instead of hand traps to see if I like it or not. Just so then Blind goes second, since Lunalight Fusion obviously meant to go for second. Heavy Polymerization is meant to go second. But that is it for the main deck, and I'm still deciding if I want to play hand traps for going second, or if I want to main board breakers and side for going, or basically plan for going second every game. And then for the extra deck, I play 1 copy of SP Lunalight. SP Lunalight has the effect of if it's link summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, then you target a card on the field or in the graveyard and banish it. But if you use that effect, you cannot attack directly. Or you can't attack directly that turn. And then SP Lunalight also has the effect that if your opponent activates a card or effect, then you can activate Lunalight's effect, targeting targeting 2 monsters on the field, as itself, because usually it's itself, with at least 1 being a monster you control. Banish both until the end phase. There was a game I was playing against someone, I forget who it was, but it had a Lunalight, a Cat Dancer, I think it was Perfume Dancer, and then Lunalight Tiger on field. They activate evenly matched, so I chain SP Lunalight targeting itself and the Perfume Dancer, banish both. And then I had to banish the Lunalight Wolf face down. But that's just an example of what you can do with it. Next, I play 1 copy of Baguska, the Terribly Tired Tapir. The main reason this card's in the deck is if you need time, you can summon it in defense mode, and then while it's in defense mode, it changes all monsters on the field to defense, and then the activated effects of monsters in defense mode are negated. And then during each of your standby phases, you have to detach a material from Baguska, or else it's destroyed. However, there was a deck I was playing that I felt like was really dirty with Baguska, as it played the trap card Number Wall, so it makes it so that numbers on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects or battle unless it's in battle with another number. Which means you can have Baguska in defense mode forever, or at least until Number Wall gets destroyed. but I don't play that, so that's not really a thing I was able to do. I just think it's a funny thing I could do with Baguska. But I do agree with most people in that Baguska really should have been banned by now. I'm calling it now. Baguska's getting banned on the next ban list. Next, I play one copy of Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. This card's only purpose in this deck is when it's summoned, it can add a Fire Formation, or it sets a Fire Formation card from your deck. So it can set Tenki, and then you can activate it to then be able to grab any Beast Warrior. Lastly, for the Xyz monsters, I play one copy of Typhon. Typhon has the effect that you can Xyz summon it by using the strongest monster on your field, your choice of Tide, during the turn or the previous turn where your opponent has summoned 2 or more times from the extra deck. While it's on the field, neither player can activate the effects of monsters with 3,000 or more attack. And then Typhon can also use its effect, detach a material, target a monster on the field, and return it to the hand. One of my games against Ice Barrier, I actually managed to win with the individual game, because I lost that 1-2. But I had Typhon return Baguska to my extra deck. Then, because I had 2 level 4s, I just remade Baguska. Then, for the fusion monsters, I only play 2 super play targets, because originally Typhon was supposed to be a super play target. Or it was either Typhon or Tiger King, I hadn't really decided yet. But I play one copy of Theseus for Cool Tune, one copy of Garura for Yummy, which, now that I think about it, no one at my locals plays Yummy, but Garura is still a decent monster for Super Poly. Theseus just requires 2 tuners, whereas Garura just requires 2 monsters with the same type and attribute but different names. And then the third Super Poly target I was going to play was going to be Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Whereas once per turn you can change its type, and then you can, well, you can change its type, and then monsters on your field with the same attribute, it changes its attribute, and then monsters on the field you control with the same attribute cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. But it requires 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. Which, if I had that in my extra deck, then I actually would have won against the Ice Barrier, because I would have fused their Lancia and Ice Jade level 10 Synchro monster for Mud Dragon, made it dark, so my dark monsters couldn't be targeted, and I could just OTK from there because I had full combo to get to Liger Dancer. But I forgot my Mud Dragon, so it didn't matter. Next, I play 2 copies of Lunalight Perfume Dancer. Perfume Dancer, when summoned, will let you add a Lunalight Perfume from your deck to your hand. The only reason that this card is the only way to search Lunalight Perfume is because, unlike the rest of the archetype, it is a Luna space light, and not Lunalight as one word. Perfume Dancer also has the effect that you can target one other Lunalight card you control, return it to the hand or extra deck, and if you do, you can special summon a Lunalight monster from your hand. Don't think there's a level cap to it. Let's see. Special summon a Lunalight monster from your hand. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard so that all monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to their original defense. So it does have a great effect to make your opponent's monsters a little weaker. Next, I play one copy of Cat Dancer. Cat Dancer cannot be destroyed by battle, which is one thing I like about it. So that if you have a bad hand and you aren't able to get to Liger Dancer, you can just summon this in defense and hope for the best. But Cat Dancer also has the effect that once per turn, you contribute one other Lunalight monster you control. So you can attack all monsters your opponent controls twice each, but the first time each monster be destroyed by battle, it's not. And then whenever it declares an attack, your opponent takes 100 points of damage. And then next, I play one copy of Panther Dancer. Actually, I'll put Panther Dancer here, because it's the next card. Next to Panther Dancer is really only in here to be a name so that you can summon your Leo Dancer if needed. Now I play one copy of Saber Dancer. Saber Dancer is in here to be dumped to the graveyard, whether it's Kaleido Chick or by Liger Dancer. But its main effect is, while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it, target a Lunalight fusion monster you control, increases attack by 3,000 until the end of the turn. Next, I play 2 copies of Lunalight Leo Dancer. Leo Dancer is in here just for the name, as you need it to summon your Liger Dancer. But Leo Dancer has the effect of it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. I think it can't be targeted. Yeah, it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can make a second attack during each battle phase. At the end of the damage step, if this card attacked a monster, you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. Which is just there because it's a decent body, being 3,500, able to attack and then destroy all your opponent's monsters. Or at least the special summoned ones, I should say. Which ordinarily you would have it attack a normal summoned monster and then destroy the rest and then attack directly. But the reason it's in here is for the big boss monster deck, being 2 copies of Lunalight Liger Dancer. Liger Dancer, well, has to be fusion summoned, just like Panther Dancer, and I think it was Panther Dancer, and Leo Dancer. But it requires Leo Dancer and 3 other Lunalight monsters. Panther Dancer is unaffected by non-Lunalight effects, so its biggest weakness is the mirror match. But it has the effect, quick effect of being able to send a Lunalight fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to then destroy all your opponent's special summon monsters. And then it gets 2 attacks during each battle phase, and I think that's it. Yeah, it gets a second attack during each battle phase, and that's basically a quick play Raigeki. But that is it for my Lunalight deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for your deck sets to face each other, I'm currently working on a Red Dragon Archfiend versus Stardust Dragon. But I think that's going to be sometime in May after the new Red Dragon Archfiend stuff releases. And then I'm also working on a Light Sworn versus Dark World video. But if you have any ideas for what I can do to improve the deck sets to be in the future, or deck sets to face each other, comment below. I always read the comments. And thank you for watching if you're still here.